Good evening, visitors, and welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Gerard Pratt, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is leading aircraft woman Ashley Curtis. This evening, we warmly welcome the Department of Defence International Delegation and the United States Marine Corps Rotational Force Darwin Leadership Delegation. As always, we welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial and students on behalf of St Mary's College from Hobart, Tasmania. If able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is got by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Students, visitors, if able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through until the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private William Allen. William Allen was born on the 8th of February 1884 in Toowoomba, Queensland, the third eldest of 7 children born to Joseph and Elizabeth Allen. After William's father died in 1903, the family moved to Maryborough. Before the outbreak of the First World War, William spent 3 years serving in the Wide Bay Infantry Regiment before it was disbanded. He continued to live in and around Maryborough, working as a painter and decorator. William joined the Australian Imperial Force on the 26th of August 1914, 4 days after his older brother, James. The brothers were assigned to the 9th Australian Infantry Battalion. After a month of initial training, William left Australia in the troopship Omrah, bound for Egypt. William and the rest of the 9th Battalion arrived in Egypt in early December and began further training at Mina Camp, west of Cairo. In March, the battalion left Mina, traveling first to Alexandria and then by transport ship to the Greek island of Lemnos. There, the men prepared for the landing on Gallipoli. On the 24th of April 1915, the battalion boarded transport ships Malda and Queen and left Lemnos for the waters off the peninsula. As part of the 3rd Brigade, the battalion provided the covering force for the Anzac landing. It was the 1st Battalion ashore on the beaches at around 4:30 a.m. on the 25th of April, and from there faced the steep climb to its objectives under heavy fire. After landing on Gallipoli, the battalion spent the next 5 days attempting to reorganize and establish a firm position on the peninsula. On the 30th of April, the battalion sent a detachment of 280 men and 9 officers to occupy the right flank of a new position. The exercise was costly. By the 1st of May, the battalion had sustained 500 casualties, including 242 men missing. One of those men was William Allen. William had been captured by the Turks on the 30th of April, but was not officially reported missing until the 28th of June, and was not reported as a prisoner of war until July 1915. Along with other Australian prisoners, William was taken to Constantinople, where he was interned at the Afyonkara Hizari concentration camp. By late 1916, William had been transferred from Constantinople to Belemedek in the Taurus Mountains to the south of Turkey. There he was involved in the construction of the Berlin to Baghdad railway. While working on the railway, William became ill with malaria and dysentery. An epidemic of malaria devastated the Belemedek area in the summer of 1916. The effects were still being felt amongst prisoners of war and the local population as the year drew to an end. William was cared for primarily by fellow prisoner of war Major W. McMullen Pearson of the Indian Medical Service. William succumbed to his illness in December, dying of malaria and dysentery on the 20th of December 1916. He was 32 years old. William was buried by his fellow prisoners of war in the Belemedek Christian Cemetery and given a funeral according to the rites of the Church of England. A large cross was erected over his grave for identification and in remembrance. After the war, William's remains were exhumed as part of the consolidation of war graves in Turkey and the Middle East. He was reinterred at the Baghdad War Cemetery in Iraq. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, amongst almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private William Allen, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
If able, please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières, or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support during the memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.